Hello everyone, this is part 26 of my Hocus Pocus dollhouse videos.
Alright, so to start this video, I finally got the stuff for this bench and the chair, and this is how far I've got on it already. I went ahead and started just working on these because they're sort of like this other chair that I've made and these little tables and things. But I didn't paint those yet because I just wanted to show them a little better, because they kind of stand out better when they're not painted. Like, you can see what it's made of. Like the tall parts here are wood, and then these pieces across here are the foam board. And I don't know if it shows real great, but I have cut out a little chunk here to make it just look like some of the wood's been like a little notch has been knocked in it, or maybe that's where a knot hole was. And then I've just scratched this up to look like some wood grain, and I think that light's just kind of washing that out, but it may show it better after I paint it. And down here's cardboard, just a little thin cardboard. Now I left the paper on the bottom just to strengthen the foam board, and then on the back here I've put cardboard because I just wanted to strengthen up these pieces of foam. I think the seat part is okay because it's such a wide piece, but these little back pieces I just wanted to put a little extra support there, so I put that cardboard to hold those better. And then I've went over the whole thing with Mod Podge, so that's pretty much done other than painting that. And the chair's done the same way, just with the wood and the foam board and the cardboard. Now this chair is basically the same exact chair, but the back of this one needs to look like leather. And I actually need to take this away because that's just kind of getting in the way. So I got this idea from Aira on Bentley House Minis. This is just some cotton fabric, and I've painted the one side with Mod Podge, and that just sort of gave it a leather look, and it's kind of give it a texture sort of like leather also. And so I'll cut a little piece of that, and I'll try to get the picture posted. I always say I'm going to post a picture, and I never get them posted when and where I want them. But even if I don't get that picture posted, I'll show it at the end. But I need to cut a little piece to make the back of this chair. And actually, let me grab my phone and I'll pull the picture up so we can sort of see what this one's supposed to look like. Okay, so for this chair, I mean, it just barely shows, but it's right there between my thumbs. Like, you can just sort of make out that little square piece of leather. I mean, it's a really bad picture of it. I mean, you just see that back part of the chair back here, and that's really all you can see of it. So I might be able to find a better picture of it on the web somewhere, but it's just a really simple little chair, I guess. Now if I put any kind of detail on the back, I'll just paint that by hand, or maybe even put little stitching across there to give it some sort of detail. But I'm just going to have to cut this to the size that I want it, and then just hand sew it onto that back. But of course I'll probably want to paint it, I guess. I need to try to see what color, if it's like a darker wood or a light wood. But I'll get these two little things painted up, and I guess this is going to be what I make for this video, because I'm really close to being done. Like, I don't want to be done right now. I'm trying to think of more things to make. Now there's going to be like this tall candle. Let me see if I can bring the picture. Oh yeah, now back to this same picture. you can sort of see this candlestick sticking up here, and then it goes over, and it's actually two that are connected, and then there's this bar in the middle that they hang stuff on, and that is sitting right back here behind this table. So it'll be like two tall candle holders with a bar between them with a lot of little things hanging on that. Now that's something I'll make in a video. And then also there's these little fireplace things. I don't know what you call these little things that you put in your fireplace, I guess, to hold the logs. But you can sort of see those here. I'll have to make those to go back here in the fireplace. So those, and then that candle holder, are things that I want to make. And other than those and finishing up these two pieces, I don't really know of anything else to work on for the house. There's another picture of that fireplace thing. And this is a good picture to go by. It just shows a lot of stuff in there. And I can hang, I think I need some more dried herbs hanging in here. And that's another thing I'm going to do, is like these little strings that I've got all these dried flowers hanging on. These up here, I've took some of my paint and I've aged those a little bit so those strings aren't so clean, because it's just a little white rope that I used. So I've been trying to age those up a little bit. But yeah, so I'm just trying to go a little slower, because I've still got to get all the stuff to make the witches, and I got to figure out how I'm going to do that. So anyway, I'm going to work on painting these, maybe talk a little bit more, and then that's what we'll work on. Okay, so I'm going to start with the bench, and I looked back at the pictures, and it looks like the bench is sort of a light color. So I'm going to paint this sort of a blondie color, and I've chosen like the worst brush that I could have grabbed. So let me get a different brush. I like using a softer brush to do this sort of thing. Because it just kind of gets in the little grooves better. And the chair's a little bit of a darker brown, so we'll just use a darker brown. This is called golden brown. And then I'm going to use burnt umber for the chair. And then of course once I do this, I will go over it with the black watered down acrylic. And I like that I went over this with the Mod Podge, because it left like some brush strokes, and those brush strokes kind of look like little wood grain, so I don't mind the brush strokes at all. And like I was saying, I've about got all this wrapped up, but I don't want to finish so quick. I want to take my time and make it last. So I'm trying to think of like I said, I'm just going to do these in this video, and then try to think of some other stuff to do in the other videos, because I could still make more books, and I would like to make some books that actually have covers on them, that actually have words and stuff, maybe some little spiders or something. And I've got these little grooves kind of deep in there. You can, oh yeah, there you can see the grooves a whole lot better down through here. It's kind of hard getting the paint down in there. Maybe that other brush wasn't so bad. But I'm definitely ready to work on some other props for my Halloween party. You know, it just seems like time's flying, and it won't be long, you know, before Halloween's here. And I can't believe I've been working on this house as long as I've been working on it. Like, it's I've enjoyed working on it, and it's just been you know, with me just doing like one video per week, I don't actually sit here and work on this every day. So I mean, I just work on it a very little through the weeks, but I really like doing it. And just thinking about almost being done, I'm kind of like, oh no, I want to think of something else, which of course I'll start Dorothy's house. But with my job and stuff, and with, you know, spring being here, I like to do a lot of stuff outside, and that takes up a lot of my time. So I've been doing a lot of things around the house. And I may actually not start Dorothy's until, you know, closer to the end of fall or closer to winter, kind of like I did the Hocus Pocus house. I started this right after Halloween last year. So that's probably when I'll start Dorothy's sometime later on, because in the fall and of course in the winter I don't really get out and do as much. So I'll have a little more free time on my hands. But I definitely need to get some more paint. I'm just over here rubbing a brush on stuff and I ain't hardly got any paint on it. And I usually just do it this way. Fill the lid up. Just dip it out of the lid. Alright, so I've got that painted and sitting back here. And I'm just going to start my little chair. And I'm just going to use the same brush. I've not even rinsed it off, because it's going to be a darker shade. And since I didn't do that, I just started with the light color. And then when I go to the dark color, it doesn't really bother it. Now, you got most of that off anyway, of the light brown. So I just start underneath it. Oh, and there is a couple other things that I will show in this video that I've had done for a while, and I meant to show it before already, but that is, well, I won't say what it is, I'll just show it later, but it's just something that I know some of you are going to like seeing better from how these things were. I've changed a couple things up. I can't wait to get this leather piece, or that little cloth piece back here on the back. I'll just have to pull out my needle and thread and hand sew it on here though, and then sew in a little, basically embroider some little detail in it. But you know, the movie, I was wanting to say something I feel about the movie Hocus Pocus is, I feel like, now this is just an opinion, not everybody's going to agree with this, but I just feel like Hocus Pocus is almost probably the best Halloween movie ever made. I mean, I love, there's a lot of good little fun Halloween movies, but there's just something about Hocus Pocus that so many people love, and it's became such a big deal the past couple of years. It was sort of like a cult classic, and now it's more than that. It's just really, I don't know, but about, what, 2 or 3 years ago, it just sort of blew up. And that's when Spirit Halloween started making a lot of merchandise. But I just really feel like that is probably the best movie to represent the holiday of Halloween. And I like bloody guts and gore type movies, like, you know, Michael Myers and all that sort of stuff. But I prefer just a traditional Halloween, fun, family type Halloween movie, because that's what Halloween is to me. You know, it's just more about dressing up in costumes and trick or treat and candy and that sort of thing. And the Hocus Pocus, it just touches on so many things. Like, you've got the kids, you've got the witches, you see them at school, you know, see them dressing up for Halloween. There's vampires, there's skeletons and jack-o'-lanterns. Like, everything is represented in this movie. Everything that represents Halloween. You know, at some point in the movie you see every symbol of Halloween. I think my hand's been blocking a lot of this. Has my hand been up here like this the whole time? But I really do love the movie. I think it's awesome. But what was I wanting to talk about? I don't know. I'm just like focused on, like, don't miss any spots. I'm trying to make sure I get paint everywhere, because there's so many little sides to a chair that you have to look at. See, like right back in here, I don't even have that touched yet. Oops. And then up and under the arms. Now let me look. I'm looking around my little house, trying to think of things I could make. Now I think I've got everything made that I feel needs to be in this house. I need to, if I'm missing a really important piece, please leave a comment and let me know, because I think I've got most of the furniture made. Of course, I've got the most important thing is the little spell book, the fireplace, the stairs. I still haven't watched the movie back yet. I haven't watched the movie since back around Halloween, this past Halloween, so I do need to get on there and watch that again, just to, you know, see if I'm missing like a key thing. It's hard to get that paint down those little creases that I've cut in there. I must have got some sort of text or something there. But I'm going to finish painting this up and let this dry good. And then I'll attach that little leather back. And then I'll come back and do that with you. Alright, so here is where I'm at on my bench. Now I've got it painted the color I want it, but I will go over this with some of the watered down black acrylics just to age it up a little bit more. And then I've got this one painted, and I've got a little strip of this fabric that I had painted with the Mod Podge, and I love how that has turned out. That really does look like leather. I think that's going to look really cool once I get it put on here. So I will just wrap that around and just tack that with a little thread down through here, and then I'll wait and age it after I get this on, so that they both kind of get the same aging effect. And let me see, I think that's all. Let me see, yeah, I guess they're ready to be aged, so I'll just go off camera for a minute, sew this on, and then come back and age it. Okay, so I've got this far, and I've got it ready to age, but I did go through here, and I don't know if it shows up, but I've got these little dots that I pressed in there, or poked in there with an ice pick, just to give it a little more detail. And I kind of done the same on this one, just to give it a little more detail. And then I put these little holes here to look like the little nail head, and I've got that little leather piece on here. I've just stitched it down the sides. So all I've got to do now is take my watered down acrylic and just age them up a little bit. Now, something I was talking about earlier was, you know, Hocus Pocus and all the stuff, you know, that's in it, like the symbols that represent Halloween, just so many things in there. And something else that makes me think of Halloween with my own personal life is, you know, my mama always has those little cinnamon brooms. Like when I was little, we'd get them around Halloween, and it'd make the whole house smell like that cinnamon smell. And that and some other things that we did, things like that always bring back those little sentimental memories. And then of course Hocus Pocus, you know, I used to watch that every Halloween and stuff. I think we had it on VHS. So there's just a lot of reasons I love the movie, just from watching it as a kid and just, you know, being into Halloween so much growing up. But this is another day that we're out mowing, so that may still be picking up again in this video. But I really like how this little black, well, I kind of got it too dark right there. I don't know if I like it that dark or not, but let me turn the light on a little bit brighter, because it just kind of helps me see it better. And I just always try to make sure I don't miss any spots. If I do get it too dark, I can just get a little more water and tone it down a little. But taking this black watered down acrylic and rubbing over the whole thing, it just makes it look so much better. It makes all the details pop and just makes it look more, I guess, real, kinda. And it takes on a different look as it dries. I just want to make sure that it's not so runny that it's like got a run. Like, I don't want it to look like drips or anything. I just want it to look like it's stained or aged naturally. So I think that looks pretty cool. And of course, like I said, it'll look a little different as it dries. It's kind of shiny right now. I'm just going to make sure, and see, there's bubbles. I don't know if the bubbles show up. I think they do. Don't really want bubbles, so I'm just going to make sure I brush those away. Maybe blot them a little. That looks really good, so that just needs to dry, and then that's done. And now just got to do the little chair. I'll set that down to the side. I don't know how it's going to take to that fabric. I don't want to go over that. See, that just kind of ruined. I think I'm doing this out of frame. I keep doing that. But see, I'm just going to wipe that away with my finger, because that's a little more than I want on that part. And I don't want to take away from that shiny look, because, you know, leather does have sort of a shiny look to it. So I'm just going to kind of work this around, not just with the brush, but my fingers. Now see, that took to the back, and that blackened that a little bit more than I want it, and I don't know if that's going to come off or not. I might can blot that with a paper towel, and of course it probably looks dark too, because the fabric does look really dark when you get it wet, so maybe that's just where the water hit it. I guess we'll see when it dries how it's going to look. You know, and I love I'm not really into witchcraft, but I think, you know, I've actually got a couple of friends who are into that, and it's definitely not my thing, but I'm not picking on anybody who is into it. I just think it's fun, just like movies. You know, I like the fairy tale make-believe side of witchcraft and witches, like the Wizard of Oz, like witches with green skin and pointy hats. And I like Hocus Pocus, and I like it as far as like movies and TV goes, but I'm not really into it in real life. But I'm not, you know, trying to pick at people who are. But there's the two little pieces of furniture, and it's not the best lighting. They don't look like it, but I'll show these better. Take some pictures of them and get them put in place, but I'm going to let them dry so they don't drip that black all over my floor. I'm going to get in here in some of these corners with a little extra. So I'll finish this up and then I will put them in place. And I was saying I had a couple other things I wanted to show, so I will show those also. Alright, now I'm going to go back to these little chalk things here, these little drawing pastels, and I'm just going to kind of rub this on. Now these ain't completely dry, and it'll do better if I let it dry, but I'm just going to go ahead and try it just a little bit on the arm of the chair, because I think the arm of it is dry enough to try this. I've been doing this to all my furniture, just putting a little bit of this on here, and then I can just rub that around, and it just gives it an extra little layer, just some more texture, and I like how that kind of makes it look, because sometimes the paint is just so flat, and this chalk just kind of makes it look, I don't know, it kind of gives it a better shade or something. I guess I could do the same with paint, but I just like how this goes on and how it looks. And I guess I'll wait. I don't guess I'll do too much of it right now, because it does, in these little creases and stuff, needs to dry better. But I was just wanting to test the color real quick, and I get impatient, so that's going to look really cool once it's dry and I get these little things on here. And then, like I said earlier in another video, I can do the white as little highlights on it. And of course it kind of rubs off, but like the most part will rub off, but a lot of it will stay on there, and just kind of makes it look dusty and grimy, so I like that. Of course it'll build up real age and stuff on its own, so that looks really cool. And I'll get those put in place, and then I'm thinking if I want to make something else in this video, I'll have to look at my list. I just have like 2 or 3 things to make, and I think I don't know if I'm going to make one more thing today or just wait, because I want to try to have enough more videos for the next couple of weeks, so I don't want to get it all done right now. Okay, so I've got these painted up, and the little chair goes back in this area. They're still not completely dry, but I did go ahead and put that little chalk stuff on them, and this little chair goes back in here. I'm just going to scoot that rug over a little bit. So there's at least 3 chairs. Now I could make another chair, because they had several chairs in the house, but I don't know if I will or not. I mean, as long as I've got 3, I'm happy. That way they'll each have a chair. And then over here is where this little bench will be sitting. It sits about here, but the other half of the house is what will create that floor when the 2 pieces are put together. So it's kind of weird that I've got the house in 2 parts, because this is going to have to sit over on the other part, even though it sits along this wall. I mean, I guess I could sit it here, but it's just really low since the floor isn't here. And I'll show you how this is going to look when it sits on the other half, like where that wall would come over here, because there's like a little post here, like a beam. So we'll put it over there where it belongs, and then when the two parts of the house go together, you know, it will slide in here and be here like it's supposed to be. And even the saw hanging here on the wall kind of hangs behind it, which is exactly how it's doing. So that's kind of cool. So I'll get this put on the other part, and I'll even try to get some pictures. Like when I put the two parts of the house together, I can always like reach my hand through the little front door and take pictures. So I'll take some pictures of this when it's all put together. But for right now, I'm just going to keep it sitting here. And I think I've decided I am going to try to find another cat to use for Binks, so I will be on the lookout for that this weekend. There's a couple places that I can go that have little cats, and I'm going to go see if they would be the right size for this project. So there's how that looks, and now I'll get this other part squeezed together over here. Alright, so this is the other half of the house, and this over here is where the bench will be sitting, and then of course this corner will butt up into that other corner over on the other half. So when the parts are put together, it's going to look really cool sitting here. And of course this is where the little closet door will end up being. And I have not put the two parts together and looked through these little windows and things to see how it's going to look. So this will be my first time actually looking through here and seeing how it's all coming together. And I'll maybe film it. I know I'll take some pictures, but the little bench just fits perfectly in between the wall and that little post. And then another thing that I've done that I was going to show is I've added this piece of wood going up and down right here, because I noticed in the movie this part did have a square piece of post coming up into this part, whatever these parts are. So I added that post. I just need to age it, but I just wanted to show it before because, you know, with it being this natural wood color, it just sort of shows up a little bit better. And then the other thing I wanted to show was, if you notice, Mary's bed, and then Winifred's bed, and Sarah's bed up here, I've stained them a darker brown so they look so much better. And of course I'll get pictures of those also, so you can sort of see how they look now that they've been aged up a little bit better. So I was really happy with how those turned out. And down here in the corner I've got a little creature. I just now saw he was sitting down there. That's a little black cat, and I keep him sitting down in the corner, but I didn't know he was sitting there then because he's so dark you don't notice him sitting in those little shadows. But anyway, that's what I've got today. And let me see, there was one more thing I was wanting to show. Alright, so the other thing I was wanting to show was this duck. Now this is like a knockoff of Madonna. It's called Material Bird, and it's a rubber ducky. And I know some of you are probably thinking, oh my gosh, if he brings up Madonna one more time, I'm going to lose it. But I just found this. My friend sells these, and as soon as I seen it, I thought, oh my gosh, it looks like the mama from Hocus Pocus. So in a video, I am going to customize this rubber duck and paint her little outfit to look more like the one in the movie. And so it's going to go from Madonna to the mama. And so that's something I'll work on in one of my videos. And so I just wanted to show that. And now I'll just show you some of the pictures of how the beds look and the little bench in place and the rest of the stuff that I've done today. Okay, so I've decided to go in the house. Now the parts are not completely together, so there will be a crazy gap in the floor that probably won't look so great, but we're just going to go through the front door and just try to check out how that little bench looks. Now we got to go a little crooked, and I'm just sticking this in. I have no idea what y'all are seeing. I can't really see that great myself, but hopefully, I don't even know if y'all can hear me, but we're just going to check it out. I'm just going to randomly move my hand around. Hopefully I'm catching something, but this is how it looks from the inside when the parts are together. Looks kind of, from what I can just barely see what I'm even filming. Looks kind of like some sort of a ghost hunting show. But we will have to get some better footage later when I get a little more familiar with how to do this, because this is a very tight spot to try to get to. Okay, so I went in and I turned on some of the lights. So we're going to go back in with the lights on, with the little fireplace going, and just see how it looks. Maybe those lights brighten it up a little bit better. And again, I don't know what all can be seen, but I'm just trying to get a better reach in here. Oh yeah, I forgot the cauldron. I knew there was something missing from inside, but we'll have to do this again later when it's all finished. I don't even know how well I'm coming in, because I'm like talking through a little crack in the wall. But from what I can see, it looks pretty cool. Y'all should see how I look. I mean, I've got my little mouth pressed up against a little crack in the wall, trying to talk and look at what this looks like. Now there was one more thing I wanted to show, and that is back to these little pictures that I painted. I was wanting to compare the size of this to a Tic Tac, but I ate all the Tic Tacs, so now I don't have one to compare the size, but I do have a picture of where I held one up here to this, so I'll just post that picture for those of you who have not seen it already, so you can see just how little these are, because I thought they were a little bit bigger than a Tic Tac, but they actually are the same size of a Tic Tac, and you'll see that in the picture.